Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Commander Clash podcast, where the Commander Clash crew talks all things Commander. And this week, we got a fun one. We're talking about our top cards from Edge of Eternities, and specifically focusing on the 99, because we're probably going to talk about Commanders in a future episode. So the best cards from Edge of Eternities for the 99, and this set has so many cool cards. I love this set, but before we get into all that, we got a crew to introduce. Kicking things off with Krim, probably better known as the Agent Avenger. How's it going today, Krim? Good to see ya.
Good morning. I am beyond thrilled to talk about this set because I think this might be my favorite in-universe set in some time. I think since Neon Dynasty.
I feel like it at least has my favorite art of maybe any modern Magic set in a long time. But anyway, we're not an art podcast. We're a card podcast, but we got a crew to introduce. Phil, what's up today, Brewer's Kitchen? How's it going?
Oh, don't mind the new location. Nothing happening in my apartment. Nothing water-related at all. Also, I love this set so much. I love everything space. And yeah, the artwork is sick. I love the warp mechanic as well. This is set of the year here for sure.
And last but certainly not least, Budget Commander, Tomer. How's it going, Tomer?
I'm doing great. I'm also a big fan of the direction of the set. The sci-fi stuff is really cool. And I'm also very selfishly excited because there's a lot of cards here that are going into my paper collection. And they're going to make some decks that are already hated even more hated. So I'm very excited.
I agree. I share that sentiment.
Artifacts did nothing wrong.
Okay.
So before we get into the best Edge of Eternity cards, we got a couple sponsors for you today. Our show's brought to you by Foil Armor. Do you have problems with your foils curling? Well, Foil Armor is the ultimate solution for flattening your foils. It's a two-way humidity pack that you simply put inside an airtight container with your cards, and Foil Armor will absorb and release moisture, making your cards completely flat. Put it back into your storage box to keep your cards flat forever, and you can head over to foilarmor.com and use the code MTGGoldfish to get 15% off. Our show's also brought to you by Card Conduit, the easiest way to sell your Magic cards. If you ever get tired of the hassles of buy listing, you can skip them with Card Conduit. You can use their curated service where you send in as many cards as you want with a buy list value of $1 or more and pay just a 5% service fee. And if you want to do a bit of work, you can use their sorted service where you list and sort your cards in advance and pay just a 2% fee. Either way, you're going to get a detailed report with the results in a fast payment once your order is processed, and you can even get another 10% off by heading over to cardconduit.com/MTGGoldfish. Card Conduit, it's the easiest way to sell your Magic cards. So thank you to Card Conduit for supporting the show. And now it's time for the comment of the week. It is back. In last week, we talked about cards that are insane, but only in the right deck. And our top comment comes from X Tempest Buster, who says, as my grandpa once said when facing Krim, my deck has no cards.
So good.
I do remember that of the hit anime.
Yeah.
Crimeo. I love
Crimeo, yes.
love that one.
That'd be funny if it was go for the heart of the cards that he sees. There's nothing left, and you're like, oh.
My
Episode
deck
ends.
has no cards, neither pathetic or any at all.
So anyway, let's talk about the best cards from Edge of Eternities. And we're going to do this like we normally do, where we kind of go around and pick our favorite cards. But there's one group of cards we want to get out of the way altogether because we had various versions of them on our list. And those are the Mythic Planet lands. So if you haven't seen these lands, there's a whole cycle of them. They each tap for one color. They enter the battlefield tapped. They all have this station mechanic, which means you can tap your creatures at sorcery speed to put charge counters on the planet land equal to the creature's power. And then once you get at least 12 charge counters on them, they all get an ability. The green one turns into a Gaia's Cradle. Pay a green, tap it, make a green for each creature you control. The blue one turns into a Tolarian Academy. Pay a blue, tap it, make a blue for each artifact you control. The white one is pay 4 and tap, make a token that's a copy of target artifact or enchantment you control, except it's legendary, only as a sorcery. The black one, you can pay 2 and 2 life and sack a creature draw cards equal to the sack creature's power, only as a sorcery. The red one has its tradition with land cycles.
That's fun.
Kind of gets the short end of the Planetary stick here. Pay 2, tap, sack a land, make a 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature token. Then creatures you control get +1/+0, gain hasted till end of turn. That one you can activate at instant speed if you want to. So most powerful one for sure, right? But anyway, What do you guys think of these planet lands? We got these lands that call back to some of these at least, call back to some of the most powerful lands in Magic's history. How good are these? Which ones are you hyped for? Phil, there's one on here when I see it, I'm like, that seems like a Phil card.
Yeah, for sure. I actually think they're all pretty clunky. Obviously, it's good if you activate the green and blue one, or like unlock it. But the one I'm interested in is the white one, because it is a legendary token, so I can't go further with it. But it will create a token of Caretaker's Talent, and I just recently built my custom commander, differently named tokens commander list. And this one's going right in there. Let's hope the price... Actually, the price is fine right now. But it seems like a super safe card. It is just a super unique effect. I don't know if there's any way to make the legendary thing a positive. Because it's so easy to copy tokens. Yeah, it's like you have City of Death and 3 Blind Mice. Like, if it wasn't legendary... You could also just copy the same token.
Yeah,
with this.
That's probably what they want to avoid, right?
How do you?
I think this is definitely the interesting one of the cycle. So
do we feel about unless you have constructs?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Sucks to activate them.
The blue one is like so ahead of the rest of these because like if you're in an artifact deck, you have so many really good ways of making giant creatures just by existing. Like we have the Urza Saga, we have the Synthesizer, I forget the name of it.
Simulacrum Synthesizer.
Synthesizer. There's a couple other ways of making constructs as well. There's like the white like flip land that does it too, that makes a gnome struck. So like I think it's going to be very simple for you. Just jam this into like a blue artifact deck that happens to make constructs of Urza or whatever. And then you like tap one construct and then bam, it's online. Yeah, seems good.
The other interesting aspect, that one does seem good. I think that is the best one for the reason you mentioned. It's also interesting that it's maybe the most irreplaceable one. Like, the green one calls back to Gaia's Cradle, but we have other, like, Growing Weights of Itlamok is, like, a pretty good replication of, like, a bad Gaia's Cradle, but we don't really have a functional Tolarian Academy, I don't think.
We do.
In Commander.
We do.
Functional. I said
that
functional.
One's easy. It's like you have like 6 artifacts or something on the battlefield, and you're like it flips, right?
That's like 2 colors, and is it? But yeah, I mean, like, yes, I guess if you can jump through the hoops, but it is in 2 colors, which makes it a lot tougher compared to just like being straight mono blue. I think the green one's kind of easy too if you want it to be. Like if you're playing Golta or like big creature green decks, I think you can turn it on. Although it's kind of awkward that Cradle really likes mana dorks. You just spew your hand of like mana dorks and make a ton of mana early. That's not going to work very well with the green planet land because those mana dorks are not going to do a good job of actually turning it on. Krim, what do you think about these? You got a favorite one? Do you think they're any good?
I immediately blanked the blue one out of my mind because to me it's just another thing that artifacts can abuse, right? So I'm not like, oh my god, they finally broke artifacts. But
we needed the help, okay?
Yeah. They really needed
for
the
so
help.
long.
Or underpowered artifacts.
Yeah. I think in Commander, the one that's interesting to me is actually Adagia. I don't know, Adagia. Either way. The white one, just because I do like just what it's doing, right? I think that what it's doing is unique, and it's not just like, hey, we're going to get just, again, staple or like a Tolarian Academy onto something, staple a Gaia's Cradle. It's just something new, and it's unique, and I just like that. And it's something that is generically good, I think, in Commander, because we play a lot of artifacts and enchantments passively. So I think that this is a card that I would more than likely love to just have on the board. And the question is, where can I crew this, right? So obviously my Super Friends deck, not going to crew this. Or maybe I can with all the tokens, who knows? But I do think that this is one of those things kind of like MDFCs where it's a little bit free because in Commander, at least casual Commander, where the games are slow enough to where I might just be able to passively crew this with like a 2-1, right? Like Phil and I, we already play a lot of speed. Like you and I, we play speed, and that's almost the same thing as station, right? I feel like with a 4 turns to like ramp up.
That's a good comparison, yeah.
Right? Like with 4 turns to ramp up, like we get to max speed pretty easily, right, Phil?
Mm-hmm.
So if that's the case, I imagine that station will just passively get there as well.
I think it's gonna be kind of hard. The big drawback of this is speed. You can trigger it like with like drain effects, ping effects, attacking if your deck is just about attacking. But this one, like if you're attacking, then it kind of sucks that you're tapping down your attacking creatures, so you're skipping an attack, but then you're also skipping a potential block too. So you're kind of leaving yourself open. So I don't know.
I'll give you the blocking point because I think that's true. But like, there's just turns where we get outclassed on the board, right? Where I'm doing nothing anyways. So if that's the case, why not turn that into potentially something later?
I don't think it's that hard to turn on, but I do think it depends on the deck to some extent. Some decks, like you said, if you're Super Friends deck or whatever, a Spellslinger deck with no creatures, like you're not going to turn it on. But it only gets that hard in a creature deck to turn it on. But I do think there's a cost to it. It's even in the early game, if you're tapping down 2-3 power creatures, we've seen on Commander Clash again and again and again, it's very powerful just to have an early body on the battlefield so you're not the blood bag that's taking like all the attacks of people that want to trigger their stuff early. And I feel like if you're the person that's just like tapping your entire team every turn to try to power these up, you're definitely going to be the blood bag, right? That's just going to get hit and hit and hit as people want to trigger their things. So I do worry about that a little bit, but I think they're actually almost all very good. Even the black one I think is very strong. The red one I think is still unplayable. Am I missing anything on the red one that this card is just absolutely not worth playing in any deck, basically?
I absolutely forget that there's a red one.
I mean, like it's actually not the best one, that's for sure. I think the blue one is the best one, but it is like
something.
But it like
I would play
it puts 3 power on the board. It puts 3 power on the board, and then if you do have like a big, like if you can make like a big army or something, if you go wide, I don't know. This is not the worst.
I think
it's pretty bad.
I think they were trying to make it synergize with the Jund Commander Precon because it has that land sack theme. So I think they wanted to have like an upgrade that you get from the main set and put in your mana base and sack lands with your lands. And
that's what the green one is
for me. The problem with the red one is we just have so many other cards that do that. Like red has so many mass haste cards. It has plenty of token producers. So it just does stuff you can get in other ways without tapping your team and sacking lands. But
the land sack is such a steep cost, though, right? There's this new Baloth thing that's like whenever you sacrifice a land, you create a 4/4. Why just a 2/2 robot for spending mana, crewing it up, sacrificing land? It
hurts
a little bit more. It is kind of obviously unless we underestimated
I also think they had to price it for being standard lethal too. Where in Commander you could have this make a 4/4 all day, but if this was making like a 4/4 for 2 in standard, maybe it would be a little oppressive. But
sacrificing that
they could have made it a 6/6. I don't know if it's the standard, dude.
Anyway, those are the planet lands. But let's get into our list proper, and let's kick things off with you, Phil. Phil, what's one of the top Edge of Eternities cards?
Okay, so there's one deck that is always looking for new cards, but space is getting a little tight lately. But this one's going to make it into my lowest deck for sure. It's Starfield Vocalist. 4 mana, 3/4. If a permanent entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. So Panharmonicon for everything. Don't play bounce land. And then Warp 2. So you can just warp it in, have your combo turn, and don't worry about it. I think that's the plan here. It is so... It's also a Panharmonicon that triggers Lonis right away. It is one of the best cards ever for the deck. It's kind of hilarious how good it is for this.
It's so funny. Because I love Panharmonicons, but I saw this and I was like, it's kind of just another Panharmonicon. We get one every set. But the warp cost is actually a pretty huge deal. Part of the problem with Panharmonicons is people see it coming because they're like 4 mana, Elistorn's 5 mana. You got to play them, wait a turn, and people are like, oh, I should probably blow that up or something scary is going to happen. But this at 2 mana for the warp cost is perfect for setting up those like combo kills like you were talking about. So I think in that context, the card seems really, really good. What do you guys think of this one, Crim and Tomer?
There's a space anime art, so the card.
I haven't seen this one yet.
That is going to be my change.
Why?
Oh God, no!
Why is this?
Are you okay? First off, okay. Let me teach you all. I'm gonna sit you down for a second here. Anime has sci-fi. Did you know
Okay.
this? And also,
Sure.
they are masterpieces. Like Vivi Fluorite's song is
We
exactly
just had
what
an
I think
anime
of.
set. Does every set have to have anime cards? Whatever.
Space.
Good for them. Good for
Space
them.
anime
Sure.
is real, Tomer, and it
Sure,
exists,
whatever.
and it
I mean,
can't
Cowboy
hurt
Bebop.
you. Yeah,
But
Cowboy
this is
Bebop,
more
sure,
on
that's
the
one of the known
nose.
ones, but
Yeah.
there is one that's literally about a robot learning to sing for the world, and in the galactic world. But it is so much darker than that because I don't want to get into that. Anyways, the whole point here is I love the artwork, and I want to play it because of that. Simply just because of the artwork.
I'll just say the card. I think this is the best Panamornicon for that for the reasons mentioned. I think Warp is what really just sets it apart. Is that like you don't have to be like, oh, I play this and then I pass. So you could be like, because it's 2 mana, it's cheap enough that you can play it, do your thing, and then whatever. We can warp it back another time, and if it dies later, who cares? You already got the value.
I don't know. Like, I would prefer what's like the something knowledge, virtue of knowledge in non-creature decks, because the 2 mana side also works pretty well with either triggers or fetch lands. But in creature heavy decks, probably Yarok as well. This one seems
Also,
easy.
Elish Doran's kind of busted just because it shuts down like half of what your opponent's does. So there's a few good Panharmonicons these days, but this is definitely another one, and it does seem really good in Lannis. But let's keep moving on. Krim, what do you got for us for a top Edge of Eternities card? I knew you were going to have this card as your top card.
I love that.
As the spoiler went up, I was
back.
like, I know that we're going to be talking about this one. Yeah.
All right, so this set has some spells that are just like directly just at me, right? So, and there's many. So I think I'm going to lead off with the one that you probably expect the most, and it's Space-Time Anomaly, right? So it's 2 white and blue sorcery. Target player mills cards equal to your life total. Now, normally, as the archenemy, I get smacked a lot. So my life total's kind of low. But the one thing here is like in a Hope Esteem deck, which is my new love because holy hell, is he busted? Like this card, that deck gains so much life. And I'm usually, even after rounds and rounds of damage, I'm like at 50 life. So just milling one player for 50 cards, that's huge for 4 mana, right? Like this is just an absolute house of a mill spell. So I like this just because I feel like Magic in the last year between this set and Final Fantasy, they're combining archetypes that you don't normally think of. So like life gain and mill merge together. So this is just like, it's not like a one-off thing. You can see they're continuing to do so.
I kind of wish
they
it
work
hit
pretty well
each
together.
opponent. I think that's my one criticism is I feel like, would it have been too overpowered if it was each opponent mills equal to your life total?
Yes.
For 4 mana,
Let's just be
yes.
over.
But it's then what's the point of like Aetherflux Reservoir and stuff? It's like you just do this and you hit everybody. Like,
yeah, maybe. I mean, I guess you could copy it a bunch of times or like Snapcaster it or something. There's ways you can still try to power it up. It is very good though, and I also like that. Even outside of Hope, could it be good enough in a life gain deck? That's where I wanted to play it, is in a non-Hope like life gain deck as a finisher. But that's where I feel like only hitting one person, like if my challenge is going to be I need to get to 100 life to actually win with this card, just taking out one person I'm not sure that's enough for me to build an entire deck with that being the focus.
Well, you don't have.
I think it's good to have a silver bullet, right? I like for the cost, and like let's just say in a hypothetical pod, right? There's an artifact player. The artifact player has to go because they're the one that can kill you instantly. So you know what? I think it's very easy where I'm going to aim this, right? So it's just nice to have a silver bullet. And
we're just charging some stations over here.
Okay.
I think for 4 mana, just kill somebody when you're at 70 life or something. Very much worth the slot.
Even a non-Hope deck like you had mentioned, Seth, I think it's still good there, right? Like if I can play blue-white Soul Sisters, again, good to just have a one-off kill somebody or a player removal, if you would. Doomblade for an opponent.
It's crazy that it's a rare, and then you could have 2 of those or something in limited.
It's insane in limited.
Commander podcast, but
funny.
Jesus Christ.
The other interesting part of this card is it doesn't say target opponent. So I could see playing this in a self-mill like graveyard deck where I don't even really gain that much life, but just like 4 mana mill 30 or something. If my goal is to fill my graveyard, actually seems very powerful. Anyway, let's keep moving on. Tomer, we haven't gotten to you yet. What do you got for top Edge of Eternities cards?
Okay, here's a card that I read and I was like, that's okay, it looks kind of bad. But then I read it again and I was like, oh my god, this card is actually disgusting. It is Starwinder. Now, Starwinder is 7 mana blue. It's 5 and double blue for a creature Leviathan. It's a 7/7. And it says whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you may draw that many cards. And it also has the warp mechanic, which is a brand new mechanic in Edge of Eternities. It costs 2 and double blue, so 4 mana total. You can cast this card from your hand for its warp cost. Exile this creature at the beginning of the next end step. Then you may cast it from exile on a later turn. So it's kind of like Evoke meets Adventure, kind of. I don't know. Something like that. Or you can warp it in for cheaper, and then it goes exiles at the end step, and then you can play it for the full cost. So I looked at this card, and I was like, oh, it's just a coastal piracy, right? Like, whenever a creature you control deals damage, you draw a card or whatever. No, it says you draw that many cards. So if you hit somebody for like 7 damage or something, you're drawing 7 cards. If you're hitting with multiple creatures, you could draw like a bajillion cards. So just like warping that in for 4 mana and then just hitting somebody for like 5 damage or more seems incredibly easy as a play pattern in like a lot of different decks. You don't have to be like go tall or go wide. You can do whatever you want as long as you're hitting somebody. You're going to be drawing silly amounts of cards, especially if you can give this like haste. If you have like a haste enabler on the battlefield, you could already swing with it for 7. And then, like the 7 mana hard casting, it is a lot, but like whatever, the warp cost's already good.
Oh, Tomer, I am so happy you pointed out this card because I, too, love this one. And for that exact reason, I think everybody reads this as a coastal piracy.
Yeah.
And then they read it again and like, wait a minute, hold on. This card's crazy crap. I am so on board with this card, dude. It's so sick. The warp mechanic, I think, is just a sweet mechanic all around. And on top of that, this card is so nuts. And lastly, there's a whale. There's an art of
oh my god, the whale.
I think all 3. I like all 3 of the arts. The whale one is my favorite, but like honestly, all 3 of the arts are so good.
Oh, for sure, but like there's something about a space whale, and I don't know what it is.
Pink moon or whatever. It's so good.
Whales.
Same.
Yeah,
that's a staple.
I think that, so when you think about the warp cost, 4 mana is what you pay for like Coastal Piracy, Biden Athasa. So at first glance, you might be like, wow, why would I pay something that only 6 rounds for 1 turn when I play something in 6 round all game? But as you guys have been talking about, just like the immense amount of cards that you can draw in that 1 turn more than makes up for it. So I feel like this is like in any deck with a lot of, especially big creatures, but any deck with a lot of creatures, this is at least in the conversation. And then it gets even better if you're like a sea monster deck. If you're doing Kiora shenanigans or some of those, then it's like very
I do love the
sea monster for those decks. Yeah.
What I really like about this card is that it finally blue outdraws green, like because green has been doing this forever, right? Of like
actually,
Wild
so
Speaker.
True.
And like Hunter's Insight, Hunter's Powers has lived on forever. So green has just been doing this better than white and blue for like forever. And now finally blue, the color of card draw, allegedly, can do it better than green. So thank you. Finally
blue can catch up to green card draw. Yay!
Well, one place that blue has still not caught up to green is with the land shenanigans and ramping. So my first pick is a card that I feel like maybe they shouldn't have even made. It's a very green card, and I think this card is just straight up busted, and that is Icetill Explorer. So Icetill Explorer is a 4-mana 2/4 insect scout. And it has 2 different effects stapled onto it that should probably not be together, which is you can play additional lands on each of your turns, and you can play lands from your graveyard. And then, like you need more, it has landfall. When a land enters, you get to mill a card to fill your graveyard. So Icetill Explorer is like an Oracle of Moldiah effect, but rather than playing cards off the lands off the top of your deck, you get to play them from your graveyard. And with a optimal mana base where you're playing fetch lands, playing lands from your graveyard is actually just way more powerful than playing them off the top of your deck because you can always just replay your fetch lands. So I see this as guarantee that you're going to basically ramp every turn that is on the battlefield from your extra land drop. And then you also get the synergies where you could be doing strip mine stuff or wasteland stuff. You can be getting back lands like Buried Ruin that keep getting things back from your graveyard. So you can be setting up any sort of like Glacial Chasm you keep putting into play as one of your land drops and you never die. Like, there's so many synergies with this card. But I feel like the combination of extra lands and lands for the graveyard make this just like a staple level card for almost any green deck, definitely any landfall deck it's going to be good in. I think it's really good in self-mill style decks, like Madrolthus style decks, because it's also filling your graveyard. But what do you guys think of this card? Am I giving it too much credit? Is this like a super busted card, or am I off base?
Icetill Explorer, more like I still think green needs to be banned. Because, like, honestly, this card is nuts. This card is legit.
Very good.
Oh
Yeah,
my
it's weird
god!
that they
Also, it's gonna fit in my Black Panther deck because Black Panther has their intergalactic empire in the comics. So naturally, since the Wakandans go to space, I gotta start jamming space things into the deck. This card is so nuts in the lands archetype, though. Why did I don't know why. It's just like, can you just cool it green for like 30 seconds? Like, please.
One set. Give us one set.
It's like you put like a head shredder on the battlefield too, which is like whenever you're milling lands, you put them directly on the battlefield. You don't have to do that. You should just like Splendid Reclamation everything back afterwards. It's like whatever.
Yeah, it's so disgusting.
It feels a little on the nose. Seth compared it to Prophet of Krufix in the spoiler video, in that it combines two abilities that you usually use two cards to assemble some synergy or combo. It is and then it mills with everything. I feel obligated to put it into Necrobloom, but it feels a little too easy, unless 4 mana is too much, but I don't think so. It seems like you really
green?
go off
in
after
the land step. 4 mana?
I mean, it's
like
so
1
easy
mana.
to turn 2 ramp into this on turn 3, and then you play the extra land drop, and then you're off to the races. Yeah, the card's silly.
I don't know why they keep making these kind of like single piece engines. You know what I mean?
Just got the Chocobo, yeah.
Right, like this kind of just like feeds itself, right? And it's kind of nuts because of that. Like I thought like, at least like the type of cards were usually split, so you kind of had to work to assemble the engine. But as if lands wasn't already busted enough, now they just have an all-in-one. So god,
get over the times, old man. This is 25 Magic. What are you gonna spend
this is
2
the
cards
cost
to do this?
of blue catching up to green's draw power. This is the cost.
Green is like, well, we didn't have
You gotta pay the
better
price.
card advantage and recursion and ramp. Also fall behind, or we won't be in first by such a large margin.
Let's keep moving on, but that one's busted. Let's get back to the top of the order and Phil. Phil, what do you got for us?
All right, I got another warp card that also kind of plays like I warp this in for 2 and then I do my combo. It is Exalted Sunborn. Flying lifelink, 5 mana, 4/5. If 1 or more tokens would be created under your control, twice that many tokens are created instead. And warp 2, so you just warp this in for 2 and then you have your big turn. And then you draw all the cards with Manios Karga, and I hope I open this because it is a mythic and it will still cost a lot. So far, it's at $28. Should I pre-order this? I don't know. It seems like an ad spend.
I'm going to be honest with you. I think you should.
I think so too.
Hear me out. Is this not the? Here's the problem. It's a token doubler.
People love
and it has Angel attached to it and Wizard.
All right, it's an Angel as well.
Yeah.
Because it's an Angel.
True.
Wizards don't drive as much with the price tag, but Angels just generically, as bad as they are, will just be $20.
Yeah.
So,
and is it an Angel deck though? Like the only thing, does Angel make
not matter?
Right? Angels make Angels tokens.
They do.
Oh yeah, I guess.
If you gain life, you make Angel token
That's
stuff.
true,
Starnheim Unleashed. So you could
and it has
Google
life
the token
link
Angel
too.
deck.
How
It does have life
Exactly.
link too. Yeah.
All right.
How convenient.
So this is where I think if you wanted, depending on how cheap it is, I would get the anime art because the anime art is crazy cool.
Dude, anime art.
I'm just
No, the frame of these
look at the
anime.
art and tell me it's
art
not
is so good.
I'm gonna look at this
The
art right
frame
now.
sucks though.
No,
Look at the dude.
Extended art is the way to go. Yeah.
God.
Okay,
Say it,
obviously I love the standard art as well, but the anime art, it has it's channeling the like like star constellations, and it's got
Okay,
these
you know what?
beautiful
You know what?
flowing
I'm
wings.
actually on board with this one. It looks like a Sailor Moon outfit. It looks like
Dude, yeah.
mid Sailor Moon
It's
transformation.
crazy
I'm down,
good.
actually.
Oh.
I'm good with this one. Okay, you sold me.
I also think there's an argument this is just the best token doubler because we've never had a token doubler on a non-legendary creature before. We've had Mondrax and we've had the white O'Hare, but not only does this let you warp it in for 2 mana, but it turns out it's pretty easy to copy creatures. There's a lot of cards that make token copies of creatures. And when you warp this for 2 mana and then start like Molten Duplicating it or using those effects on it, it just snowballs into you win the game very quickly because the token doublers double each other, and pretty soon everything you play is just making like hundreds of tokens.
And
So
you
I feel
keep
like the
the
card's
copies,
like
right?
legit busted.
That's the
If you
most
warp it in and then
win-more
copy.
thing I've heard.
Yes, depending on what you use to make the token copies. If you use like one of the red ones that say exile
I
it
mean,
on your end step
obviously,
or something,
yeah.
it won't stick around. But yeah, so it depends on what you use to copy it. But yeah, it would stick around.
I mean, it's
But the
not
card
even
is
win more,
insane.
Toma, right? You flash it in for 2, and then you copy it with whatever.
Yeah, it's
for
true.
Probably
If
3.
you're like,
And then
What's
Or
that
let's
blue
see.
spell that we
Let's go.
that we all love? The Foretell one that clones everything.
Oh,
Mystic Speculation.
Yeah.
There it is.
Oh yeah, I had to
Yeah.
do that with my Shauna deck for the 1,000 Life episode.
I would pre-order it maybe, Phil. I feel like
Like
this
you mean
card's going to be
Mystic
expensive.
Yeah, I already got a extended for
This card
30.
is- this card is gonna have bananas.
Would be
If
nice, though.
if
That's
I can
50,
find
though.
the
That's
anime art
crazy.
for not a down payment, I will gladly pick this up.
Ah, the
Warp
fr-
is just
wow,
so
anime is
good. Like,
Yeah.
I've always had these complaints about these cards where it's like you tap out and you pass, and like they have to deal with you, and I don't like that. But for 2 mana, you could just be like, I don't have to tap out and pass. I can just play this for 2 mana and then pop off and win. Like,
And the craziest part of warp is there's no tax on it. It's not
No.
like because you get to warp this in early, we made the creature way more expensive and worse when you got to hard cast it. Like you pay the normal rate that you would pay. Like if they just printed that without warp, it would be a 5-mana creature. So you're not paying any extra for paying it full price. So warp is just like pure upside on all these cards, right? It's just like a bonus. Like play it early and get some value out of it, and then you can still play me later. It's such a push mechanic. Anyway, let's keep moving on. Next up we have Crim. Crim, what's another card you like from this set?
God, I want to talk about the creatures, but my God, the spells are so good for this set. The other one, there's so many spells. I want to talk about all of them. Okay, and most of them are board wipes.
monster.
The Crim Life, mill
this-
spells and board wipes.
Okay,
I mean, this one is both.
okay. I think I know which board wipe. I think it would be a crime if I do not mention this as well, and you can figure this one out too. It's Singularity Rupture. 3
Oh, come on.
blue and black. Destroy all creatures, then any number of target players each mill half their library rounded down. So for 1 more mana than a Traumatize, they've stapled on a board wipe. And you could mill yourself if you want, but like, yes, there's so much respect and love for mill in this set that I can't help but go wild.
This is your
Right?
doing, Crim.
It sucks so hard to resolve this, though. You gotta count your library and then count it
So
halfway down again.
Yes.
I actually like this one because I like the fact that it targets yourself. So like if you are in a graveyard based deck, this is a 6 mana board wipe that traumatizes you. And like I can't run this in my Melic deck, for example, because Melic's is it, but I do run Traumatize specifically to target myself. So I can get half my library into the graveyard. It is annoying, though, to count every single card in your library and be like, all right, I
Do you not
have...
just do the 2-pile thing where you kind of split your deck in 2 piles
Yep.
and line them up and you're like close enough? That's usually how I do it.
I'm too much
That's fair.
perfectionist.
I think this card, like, I like the self-mill plan. In that case, I think you choose not to mill your opponents a lot of the time even, so you don't give them any value and you just wrath and then self-mill yourself. It seems great in mill decks.
Mhm.
I can't imagine playing it. If I don't care about
That's
milling my
great mill.
opponent or milling myself, I think there's better options. But if I care about those things, this card's insane in those decks. Well, let's keep moving forward. Tomer, what do you got for us?
Okay. So we talked about how like mill has gotten a lot of upgrades how, lanes keep getting a lot of upgrades. But don't worry. The poor up-and-coming archetype, little-known archetype called Artifacts, which I am an enjoyer of, they got something too. They got some treats in the set as well, a few. And one of the most notable ones that I like is Uthros Research Craft. It's a 3-mana blue artifact spacecraft, which is another, it's a new mechanic in EOS. It's kind of like a vehicle, except you have to charge them up by, crewing them. But then once you've crewed them, they keep their charge counters forever, and then they're always permanently whatever the thing you got with your charge counter. So at 3 or more charges, whenever you cast an artifact spell, you draw a card, put a charge counter on this spacecraft. And then when it's at 12 or more charge counters, it becomes a 0/8 creature with flying permanently, and this spacecraft gets +1/+0 for each artifact you control. So for 3 mana, and just stationing it with 3, so having just 3 power worth of stationing, which is I think very reasonable. You suddenly have one of the most mana efficient draw engines in an artifact deck. You can get this effect for 4 mana on a legendary creature or just a Vidalkin, but they're not artifacts and they're creatures, so they're more vulnerable to removal. This one is an artifact, and then just by crewing it for 3 mana, you're just I cast artifacts, I draw cards. And did you know that artifacts could be very cheap and you can kind of chain them together very easily in a proper artifact deck? You can cast a lot of them. And then it kind of just charges itself up, which is kind of almost a downside because then it's more vulnerable to removal. But then the upside is once you've cast a bunch of artifacts and you have a lot of artifacts on the battlefield, this just starts 2-shotting people in the air because it gets +1/+0 for each artifact that has flying. It's good. I like this. This might make artifacts viable.
Oh yeah,
finally.
Finally. I do wonder though. This card is obviously good, right? At the 3+ mark, but are these not kind of the gods when I think of Perforos and Heliod and all them, where I feel I don't want them to be a creature. I will.
I was thinking the same thing, that turning into a creature is a downside. Yeah,
right?
I think it's actually a downside because I would rather just get it to 3 and never. Well, a lot of games I'd rather get it to 3 and never turn it on. Some games you want to turn it on, but
I think I'd
think
let
of it this way:
sit
once you've
right
drawn enough
there.
cards, then you can just start killing people because
it's
now you
never
don't have
enough,
to.
Tomer.
Now you don't have to put a finisher in your deck. Your card draw engine is the finisher. Remember we were
Don't
talking about
say that.
you know how
Don't
we took
say that,
two.
Tomer.
We keep taking 2 cards and just putting them together, so you don't have to run multiple cards anymore. Now you don't even need finishers in your deck because your primary draw engines turn into your finishers for you. Isn't that wild?
It is wild.
That is true. The other cool part about this card, and with that charge counter thing, is one of the gimmicks of the spacecraft is there's some cards that can move charge counters around. We have some from older sets, but we got more of them in the commander decks for this set. So maybe this is in a spacecraft deck. You can put the charge counters on it, and then if it gets in danger of turning into a creature, move it onto another spacecraft to try to power that one up.
If it gets in danger of ending the game by killing your opponents, you're but then I'll stop drawing cards.
Draw some more
Yes. Yes, if you're
I
dead,
kill
I
out my
stop drawing.
opponents so they can no longer draw cards in this game anymore.
This is just though an auto include in basically any artifact deck though, right? Is there it seems to me it's an auto include in basically any artifact deck.
You're casting artifacts.
Yeah.
It's an auto include.
So I am gonna put it into Urza, which is artifact creatures. I'm not gonna put it into Mishra because it's non-creature artifacts, and then you could only crew it with, I guess, you
Mishra.
could have construct or something. Yeah, Mishra crews it. But I do not want to underestimate the 3. The good thing is that you probably cast this on 3, and then you can crew it next turn and then go off because you wouldn't need to crew it in the same turn.
I would put it in Mishra, I think.
With it only needing 3 counters, is this not just tap
Oh my
your
God, it's
commander
expensive
once
for
the
that.
turn you play it? It feels like getting to
Yeah.
3 charge counters
What's
seems really
Mishra's
easy.
power at?
Yeah, 3 seems super doable. I'm not
It's
gonna.
just
I'm not saying
5.
it's
The ones that are 12 or 20, then I'm like, okay, like that's going to take a little bit of work. But 3, I'm not intimidated by 3. I think I can get it up to 3. Also worth mentioning, it is when you cast an artifact spell, which means you can't draw with your artifact tokens that you create or whatever, which is
I mean, we all know
probably a
how.
positive.
Balance.
What's the Joyra or something? The one with historic spells, which is always
yeah.
just artifacts. It just goes nuts. So maybe I replace Joyra or just play both, probably. Let's be honest here.
Well, all right, let's keep moving on. I'm going to cheat a little bit with my next pick because I actually have 2 cards here. I have 2 uncommons that kind of do the same thing, but I wanted to shout them both out. And these are some ramp spells that I am really hyped for from the set. So number 1, Dauntless Scrapbot. So this is a 3-mana 3/1 robot that when it enters, you exile each of your opponent's graveyard, and then you create a lander token. We haven't talked about lander tokens yet. What's a lander token? It's a rampant growth on an artifact token. Pay 2, sack it, tap it, search your library for basic, put it into play tapped. So as soon as they announced lander tokens, I was like, okay, if they can put these in 2 colors that are not green and white, I'm going to be pretty excited for them because I'm a big believer in land ramping. Unfortunately, it requires some basics in your deck, which is a downside. But still, this can be a pretty solid ramp spell, I think. Maybe not quite as good as Solemn, like slightly behind that. But if I'm playing like a red deck or a black deck or a blue deck, and I really want to land ramp, this gets the job done, and it even gives me some graveyard hate. The other one who I'm on a roll here, All Fate Scrolls, I think is just an absurd card. It's a 3-mana mana rock, and then it's pay 7, tap it, sack it, draw X cards where X is the number of differently named lands you control. All Fate Scrolls to me reads like a 3-mana mana rock that is also Seagate Restoration in the late game where you just pay 7 and you're going to draw a new hand essentially. It gets worse if you're, a big basic deck. If you're mono blue and you have all basics, you're not going to draw as much. But with the mana bases I typically build with few basics and ton of utility lands, this is almost just draw equal to the number of lands you control, which seems absolutely obscene on a 3-mana mana rock. But what do you guys think of these cards? All Fate Scrolls, Dauntless Scrapbot. How good are these ramp spells?
I like both of them, although I prefer the All Fates. I play Midnight Clock and then something maybe what's the Crowded Crypt or something if it synergizes enough. This one seems almost generically good enough to play a 3-mana rock again. Yeah. It's instant speed, so you can just it's always draw 7, right? Unless you're monocolor, but usually, let's say 5.
It pains me that I can't play it in any of my decks. But if I didn't believe in basics,
the basic believer,
this would be like an auto include. Like if you like Field of the Dead, this card goes into it. Like it's so good that I would run it in green decks that have land ramp. Because otherwise, I'm never going to be caught dead with a mana rock in my green land ramp, right? But this one, instant speed. Refill your hand ++. Yeah.
So good.
Okay.
I'm higher. I mean, obviously this is fine, I guess, because it's still a mana rock at the end of the day. But I feel like I'm higher on the Lander bot, just because as someone who doesn't play green outside of like my one deck, right? Like I just really like that now there is something out there for like anybody in a non-green deck to try to catch up with, and Dauntless Scrapbot helps with that. So I really like that, especially in Grixis colors. So I'm more excited to try that, but I am curious, is 3 mana attached to a 3/1 really 5 mana to get a 3/1 and maybe a rampant growth? Is that going to be worth it? This is a card I'm curious to try, and if I'm just better off not having it at all, because it is like, what does this replace in a deck list for me? I'm curious. If you were playing a Grixis deck, what do you see this replacing? Is it replacing a mana rock? It's not replacing a land. Is it replacing one of my best creatures?
I would probably play it over a mana rock.
Maybe it replaces your graveyard hate
spell.
No,
if you have a graveyard hate slot, you could put it in there. Yeah,
because like the fact that it's just ETB, exile each opponent's graveyard, is quite nice.
I mean, so I have multiple pieces of graveyard hate, but like it's like Ghost Vacuum. Then I got the Bazooka Bog. So then I would take out a land.
Nah,
no, I wouldn't take out a land for a 3-drop.
So
maybe
that's tough. It really depends
you need
on
to
what
be
you're
an artifact
playing.
deck.
Okay, you got to
Maybe
be.
we
Or a blink.
kinda
I think a
overestimated.
blink deck is good too. Because,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
it's not quite solemn at that point.
You still got to
but-
pay the 2 to sack the
Yeah.
landers, even
Yeah,
if you
but
blinked
it is a graveyard hate. I don't know. I think like if I have a dedicated graveyard hate spot that's not like Bajuka Bog, I would put this in there.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm not sure either. It is 5 total mana to ramp, but when you think about Burnished Hearts and so forth that are kind of like, if you're just really married to land ramping and don't want to play mana rocks, you got to go. I mean, look at Richard playing his O'Hare Axelons. I have to imagine that this is
Wow.
better than trying to ramp with O'Hare Axelon. It's gotta be. It's gotta be.
We don't.
I mean,
did
yeah.
we ask Richard what he thinks of all Fate Scroll? I can imagine he hates it because it's a mana rock, and then it's gonna be
Yeah.
blown up until you get to 7 anyways. Which if-
I think that is probably.
By
I don't
Richard,
think I asked
yes.
him, but that sounds like
Sure.
exactly what he would say. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, these cards are trash, actually.
Everything is trash. Yeah.
All right, let's go one more time back around. Final round for Edge of Eternities.
Oh.
Phil, what do you got for us?
All right. This time, I mean, I play a lot of artifact decks as well, so I'm picking Extinguisher Battleship. 8 mana. When it enters, destroy target non-creature permanent. Then this spacecraft deals 4 damage to each creature. You can station it. Actually, it's just 5+ to station it into a flying trample 10/10. But it also just. So Mishra has 5 power and he creates a token copy of a non-creature artifact every turn. So I wouldn't turn this into a creature and instead Wrath every turn, which is super oppressive. But it's 8 mana, so it's fine, right?
Wait, doesn't he die? Because he has 4 toughness.
Does he have 4 toughness? Am I?
Yeah.
Yo, I think
Yeah,
I'm.
put a mithril
I
coat
mixed him
on.
up with.
Yeah, just put a
with,
mythical code on him or something.
with Marius Karga there. Oopsies. Well, still.
I mean, I'm curious, what do you guys think about this as just like a colorless sweeper? Like, is this, we play Ugin sometimes or Boom Piles. Like, is this good enough to consider like a sweeper in decks that are not, white or black and have, super efficient sweepers?
I mean, I think this is the new Meteor Golem, where Meteor Golem is much better in like blink style decks because you could blink the ETB. But if you're like in an artifact style deck where you're just cheating it in from the graveyard with like a Goblin Welder or whatever, like sure you lose the Welder at this point, but you like blow up a non-creature permanent, which is going to be like some high priority threat, and then you're a miniature wipe for all the creatures. I think that's quite good. I think it gets even better if you can like sneak it into play without losing creatures, without like Goblin Welders, like a Daretti, I guess. That would be super fun.
And
yeah,
if
this
your
card's
stuff
really
has
good.
5 toughness, you get to dodge it. You can kind of build around it that way a little bit. And you can blink this too if you want to. Like, it's not a cast trigger, but it's just harder to blink an artifact than a creature. I also like that it's only +5 to turn on.
Exactly.
Like, so eventually you're going to have a
It's a
10/10 flying
10/10.
trampler.
Flample, what the heck?
Yeah, it's
this
huge.
is Edge of Eternities in a nutshell. Basically, like cards that are already good by themselves, but then they double up as win conditions. Maybe because they saw Commander players were taking too long to win the game, so they're like, well, if
We're
we
going to
add-
make them kill each
if
other.
we add the
yes.
finishers on all the cards, so they have to kill each other.
To be honest, you're not attacking if you're stationing, so you kind of.
But-
10/10.
But sometimes you get gummed up by a solemn simulacrum right
Yeah.
on the ground or a spirited
Yeah.
companion. In this play group, that's a real like defense
Sure.
system. So this flies over that. So
Also,
we're gaming.
It tramples over flying spirited companions.
Yeah.
shout out to Wizards for letting it hit lands, because I know that really
Thank God.
rubbed me the wrong way
Oh
with
my God,
Cityscape
you're
Leveler,
right.
which was like the similar card that we got back in Brothers War. And it's like, if I'm casting this big 8-drop, it doesn't have to be non-land permanent. Like, I'm paying 8 mana, I can hit a land, it's okay. So this time you can actually blow up land, which is sweet. Well, let's keep moving forward. Krim, what do you got for your final pick?
Final
One mill
pick-
spell.
okay.
Are there more mill
All right,
spells?
all
in
right.
this set?
There are no more mill spells, and I'm gonna go with a non-board wipe because I realize 4 of my favorite cards are board wipes from this set,
Jeez.
right? Because I also had what is it? The Planetary Annihilation and Mutinous Massacre. These are
Oh.
just honorary mentions.
Actually, let
Mhm.
me ask you.
Yeah.
The Mutinous Massacre is like 7 mana Rakdos Wrath. Pick odds or evens. You blow up
Yeah.
one of them. The other ones you Insurrection. Do you think that card's good? Like, is that Does it solve the Insurrection problem where we don't play Insurrection because it's too anticlimactic or whatever? Like, what do you think of that? I'm very curious what you guys think of this card because I haven't really figured out if it's good and if it's something that's socially acceptable to play or if people are still going to get salty.
I think it's a board wipe with more like with fun, right? Attached to it, right?
Mhm.
So example, there's this weird situation where, hey, maybe I want to hit you with the best thing, but I need to remember that the best thing stays around, right? So I want to board wipe all the good things and hit you with all the bad things. You know what I mean? Like there's this weird dance and it's going to change situation to situation, but like it's going to be so much fun when you play it. I think this is just a fun board wipe and an interesting way to go about it, especially because it's very Rakdos. So I am here for this.
Isn't it a bad insurrection and a bad
It is a bad
board wipe?
Yes.
It's,
Yeah, pretty much.
It could be. It could
It
be.
is fun, but like, okay,
It is
so
fun.
it's about Insurrection. Obviously, it's not going to win the game like Insurrection would. It's kind of like this halfway point, which I don't personally, and I'm the biggest fan. If I want to do like weaker Insurrection, I'm just going to go like a Molten Primordial or like the new Eldrazi Primordial thingy.
But it's better than that.
No.
It's so much cooler than that, Tomer.
It's-
Come on.
It's fine.
It's so much cooler
It
than
is
that. You get to
cool.
choose.
So,
Okay.
I mean, it's probably safe. It's enough mana that it
Yeah.
probably isn't going to be oppressive, I don't think.
I'd like
Yeah.
to see people play it.
Oh,
But-
Crim will, I'm sure.
I definitely will try
I'd like
right?
it if Crim doesn't wipe me out with this.
I will die if I don't. But
Yes.
it's neither one of those cards, right? I want to mention those. Those are my honorable mentions because also Planetary, like Destruction or Annihilation, is the new interesting one where it deals 6 damage to all creatures, but each player chooses 6 lands they control and sacrifices the rest.
It's a slap on the wrist on the lands deck. It's like,
Yeah. I feel like
stop.
I like what it's trying to
Stop
do,
a
but I don't
little
know if
bit.
it does enough. Yeah.
but
It
I'm
is a
putting it in my
card,
Melic
though.
deck. I'm putting it in my Melic deck.
It's such a card that I want to try, though, because it seems like something that could maybe help because, like, Urza's whatever, like, Salad Bowl.
Silex or something, yeah.
Yeah. Urza's Silex. The problem is it hit every permanent on the board wipe. The fact that this only hits creatures and then hits the lands, I like that much more. And it's respectable to where it's not like pure LD. So I like that. I think people are probably okay if they still have 6 lands. It's not like you're denied the ability to play the game.
Yeah.
It just punishes the excessive ramper, right?
yeah.
So
I'm putting it
but
in 2 of my decks.
neither one of those are the main thing I want to talk about. I want to talk about Sothera the Supervoid.
Oh, yes.
Ooh.
This is a card that I really like. It is 2 black legendary enchantment. Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent exiles a creature they chooses a creature they control and exiles it. At the beginning of your end step, if a player controls no creatures, sacrifice Sothera, then put a card exiled with it onto the battlefield under your control with 2 additional 1/1 counters on it. As an Edict enjoyer, I do enjoy this card. The one thing that I'm very interested about is that if a player with no creatures, there's no creatures on somebody's board, you have to sack this.
Mm-hmm.
How good is this card? Because I kind of like the way it plays. It exiles. It potentially gives me a creature of my choosing. Obviously, it's never going to be the best creature unless somebody only has 1 creature, right? You're going to dunk the Voltron player, sure. But what do y'all think about this card?
I think this is the best board wipe out of the 3 by a long shot. I think this card, it's an enchantment, but I think it reads as a sorcery. So hear me out. Basically, what you want to do, you're Aristocrats deck, and you have like something that you want to sacrifice that turn. At least one thing, hopefully a couple things. You have like, I don't know, there's like Pawn of Ulamugs or whatever, and they make Eldrazi signs that you're going to be sacrificing for mana or whatever. So you have that already ready to go. Then for 4 mana, you play Sothera, you sacrifice a couple things, you essentially one-side wipe all your opponent's stuff, but it's like extra wipe because it's exiled, so you can't get it back. And then it goes away, and you get something that was exiled. And it gets a little bit stronger. Like, is that not insane? For 4 mana, you just like Aristocrats, you're ready to sacrifice at least one thing, hopefully multiple things. Play Sothera, immediately sacrifice, and you just one-sided board wipe and steal a creature for 4 mana.
I mean, I think so. I like.
I mean,
Eh?
okay. My question is Grave Pact and like
Yeah.
Dictate of Erebos. Like, if you want to do this, can't I just play Grave Pact and do this forever and not sacrifice it to get your like mana dork with 2 counters on it or something? Like,
Because people will hate you.
Yeah, that's
oh,
the-
okay.
that's
So the
my
idea is
reasoning for
it's
this.
like it's like worse
goes
Grave
away.
Pact, but people, yeah, okay, that I can get behind.
Yeah, so I
that.
don't
worse
play
Grave
Grave
Pact, but
Pact.
you won't get hated as much. Okay.
Exactly. This will
A
fly
Grave Pact
under
would
the
be-
aggro radar, and also
Oh,
leaves
I
you
don't
with
know
a
about
body.
this.
You don't think
get,
so?
You also get a full creature. You get the best creature that died this way too. I don't think that's
Yeah.
nothing.
At least it doesn't check once there's no creature, but in the end step, so you can, I don't know, sacrifice 3 creatures and make sure everything dies.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about putting this into Jadar, but I'm not thinking about putting Grave Pact or Dictate in this deck because it's just too oppressive. But that doesn't really speak for the card. It just seems very, very fair. Also, exiling means you don't get Sephiroth or Blood Artist triggers. You
Oh,
kind
that's
of
actually true.
It's obviously very good, but Grave Pact is so much better. But it's so
Wait,
oppressive
doesn't
that
it-
people
wait,
will
wait.
justifiably hate you.
Whenever a creature gets, yeah. Well, you still get your death triggers, right?
Right, but you won't get the Blood
Yeah.
Artist
Yeah,
triggers
yeah,
from your
sure.
opponent's
But
stuff. Like
that's-
Grave Pack, you'd get triggers off all your opponent's stuff dying.
Yeah,
as well.
whatever. But like Bastion Remembrance still works. Zulpit Cutthroat still works. Like,
Yeah.
like most of them still
If
work.
If I think of this card like a weird reanimation spell with some removal attached to it, I think it's pretty good. If I think of it as Grave Pact, I think it's like pretty strictly worse than Grave Pact.
I think you're underselling how good it is to just steal a creature for 4 mana.
Yeah. I'm seeing this as more than just a Grave Pact. So, like, it is giving me a body back on top of that.
So,
if-
okay.
Not
How
a
big of a
commander,
deal is it
though.
that there has to be a creature on everyone's battlefield for this to do anything? Are you at all concerned that you're going to have games where you literally cannot play this because if someone doesn't have a creature, then you just go to your end step and it gets sacrificed and you get no value?
That is a downside to it, but it is also only 4 mana for me, so I guess I
That's
don't
true.
mind it too much. It's a nice, like, once the board is ahead, right? Like once there's a board in general, it now makes this weird, interesting situation where do people want to board wipe? Because if they board wipe, let's say I get ahead and then now you start deploying, then I windmill slam this. So now if you wipe my board, I potentially could exile all your stuff and then get something back for it.
Wait,
Also,
why
is it
not?
bad that it goes away on end step? Like, I just imagine you play it and then you sacrifice like 2 things, and even if one person doesn't have anything to sacrifice or they lost everything, like
Wait,
if I'm getting rid of like 3-4 creatures from my opponents and then I get one of their creatures immediately and it's supercharged, I think that's already worth it for me if it goes away on my first end step. No?
the board wipe thing doesn't, like, you have to, it's not like creatures your opponent control die and exile
sure,
with this.
sure.
Yeah, no. I
So
would only
if you
play
play
this
this
for
and get board
aristocrats.
wiped, you got super dunked on. So you really need
I guess
to hit
that's
it.
fair.
in
Wait,
the
hold
short
on.
term.
Okay.
I would only run this in
Hold on.
aristocrats.
Whenever a
by the
creature
way.
Yeah.
you control dies,
Yeah.
each opponent exiles a creature.
Yeah, if everything dies at once,
Yeah.
this thing
guess that's
just
fair.
exile.
There's nothing to
This-
exile.
I guess
That's
it's
fair.
in your end
But
step.
this pairs nicely with all the edicts I play, right? And like make
That's
an
true.
example.
This is a very Crim card.
So
It,
I don't know. I kind of like this. I mean, yeah, you're right. The clause of if there are no creatures is interesting, right? Because this is essentially a few turns of setup. Because then I have to play this. Hopefully, everybody has things. But then also, there's a world where people could politic and crash their creatures into each other to make sure this goes away. But does that not also? Is that not just?
I think
Free-
y'all
well, then
are.
you're still
I think,
getting a lot of
I
removal
think
out
the
of it.
enchant your guys are getting hung up on the enchantment part. Like, just see it as a sorcery. Like until end of turn, all these effects happen, and then is
Fair.
it not worth it for 4 mana?
I mean, I
probably
still like.
fun.
It's probably
Yeah.
It's I think it's probably good. I just keep getting stuck on Grave Pact. Every time I see it, I'm like, oh, just bad Grave Pact. It's bad Grave Pact. But I think,
But then
The
nobody
creature
plays
is
Grave
a
Pact.
but that's because it's too good, right?
Yes.
People don't play it because it's too strong, not because it's too weak.
Yeah.
But I do think it's good, and I can't help but think maybe like this is a headliner. It's a mythic. I don't know. I feel like the card's got to be good, right? They wouldn't make this the headliner and put it at Mythic if the card wasn't good. If I conceptualize it like a sorcery, it does look better to me than if I think of it as like, bad Grave Pact. Interesting. Well, let's keep moving forward. Tomer, what do you got for your final pick?
I mean, I just had more just like nonsense with like artifacts and lands, but that's boring. So I have one for me, just for the dozens of us out there who are big Kavoo fans. I have Possibility Technician, 3 mana red creature Kavoo Artificer, very nice. 3/3. Whenever this creature or another Kavoo you control enters, exile the top card of your library. For as long as that card remains exiled, you may play it if you control a Kavoo, and it has a warp cost of just 2 mana. My friends, my Kavoo aficionados. There's dozens of us, and by that I mean changelings. This is like one of the most insane changeling card draw engines. For 2 mana, you can like play it and then like play a bunch of changelings, and then it doesn't matter if this is on the battlefield. As long as you have a Kavoo on the battlefield, you can access those exiled cards for the rest of the game. That's insane. It's like one of the most mana efficient draw engines for a changeling deck. Even if you warp it, fine. If you hardcast it for 3 mana, still amazing. Like, oh my god, this is not for changelings. Come on.
How do you
can warp it and then
say-
cast
how do
it
you say
later
it,
to
Tomer?
draw even more cards?
I've always called them
Kavoo?
Kavoo, but
Yeah.
I maybe it could be wrong. Kavoo is new. I don't know. It's very smooth the
Kavoo.
way Tomer says.
How do you say
Kavoo.
chocobo? Chocobo or chocobo?
Chocobo.
Chocobo?
I don't know, actually.
Chocobo. Okay, well, Seth, I don't know about that
I'll
one,
never
but
know.
Chocobo. But
I mean,
okay.
This card I think is really good. I feel like they price this because it's a Kavoo, right? And Kavuos kind of suck and there's not very many of them.
Yeah.
But you can cheat on that by playing it with changelings, which there's many of. And when you do, the card becomes really, really like insane. Like the only thing holding it back is the creature type associated with it. If this was like, I don't know, a wizard or an elf card or like any other like very strong creature type, I think the card would be ridiculous, but it seems so good in the changeling stack. So I assume this is going in your Ur-Dragon deck then, Tomer? Is that the plan?
Oh, yes. I'm surprised they didn't have like a legendary 4 Kavus at all in the set. But yeah, this one I'll
We-
take.
We did just get
I thought
we got one legend just today, right? The
Yep, that was landfall
the
nonsense.
Pooferos
Oh,
one.
No, the one that is
Oh,
haste
yeah.
and
No, but
all your red cards have warp along with
I
artifacts.
meant for Kavus, the creature type. Like,
Yeah. Oh
Like,
no,
there
we
was
didn't get
none.
like something that cares about Kavoo. You're
Yeah.
right. That is kind of weird, isn't it?
Although it makes sense that nothing cares about Kavus if, for some odd reason, these are to be representative of like predators. So, example, if like slivers are to what a xenomorph is, a hive mind or a hive of xenomorphs, they work together. Predators always work alone. So they always work alone. They never they okay, not always. Obviously there's times where they may be banded, but at most you see like 2 or like 3.
Yeah.
True.
So usually it's a solo predator because they all enjoy the hunt and doing things on their own. So I could see that being why, but I'm not sure.
but this guy's like warping in backup, no? Or no?
That's fair. So this is probably closer than to Battlestar Galactica or something like that. I am so curious. But yeah, like I was curious if we'd see more Kavus just because I had heard from the beginning of the set we'd see a few nods here. Like we saw a Sliver. We saw an Eldrazi, right?
yeah.
I thought this was a sign that we'd get a lot of these.
So,
Yep, same. That's
Mark
one each.
Rosewater actually answered a question kind of about this today and said all those like one-ofs of those creature types was to show us like what we can do in space kind of. So I almost feel like this is like a plant for the future. And at some point we're going to get some outer
wanna
space
get
copy
weirder.
or Sliver or Eldrazi slat. So yeah, a lot of those one-ofs were just to like let us know what's going on in the Magic version of space kind of, which I thought was interesting.
Mhm.
Anyway, all right, last pick for me. And I'm just gonna go with a card that I like. I just really like this card, and I think it can be good in certain decks. But that card is Pain for All. So Pain for All is a 3-mana aura. It enchants a creature you control. When it enters, the enchanted creature deals damage equal to its power to any other target. So it's kind of like a fling that you don't have to sack the creature. But then, when enchanted creature is dealt damage, it deals that much damage to each opponent. So it turns any creature into like a better Stuffed Owl, a Stuffed Owl that damages each of your opponents rather than just one of your opponents. And then you also get this like fling style effect where you deal damage equal to your creature's power to any target you want to. And I love Stuffed Owl decks. I love those kind of cards. There's weird combos. You can just do the mass damage stuff with like Blasphemous Act or whatever. If you have any sort of like infinite damage combo, you can throw it at this. Plus the fling effect is just like very powerful. Being able to put this on a creature and deal a huge amount of damage, either as a removal spell or going face. If you can make an infinitely big creature with +1/+1 counters, you just kill someone on the spot. So I think it's just a really cool flexible card, and it's another one of those cards that's kind of combining two effects together that just normally you don't see on one card. Like each of these cards, like each of those effects we've seen separately, but we've never seen them stapled together. Of course, the downside is it's still aura, and if your opponent just swords your thing in response to you casting it, you get super blown out. So I'm not saying it's like the best card that they've ever made, because auras do have that downside, but I still think this is just like a super cool design that can do really fun things. But what do you guys think of Pain for All?
Not
This feels like a
really card
combo
I would
piece.
play, but yeah.
So yeah, like okay, hold on. So I guess when it enters, deals damage equal to any target. Yes, and then it's okay. Would you
And then
play
it's a
this
Stuffed Owl.
generically?
No, I gotta have a plan for this.
I think there's a lot of decks that are like I think like commanders that are indestructible is the first thing I think about. Like for example, Sylvar, Devourer of the Free. You know, if you make this indestructible, it grows really big, by the way.
Yes,
It
it
munches a
does.
bunch of humans. It grows really big. Imagine you slap this baby on, then you can like, does it target, is it any target or just creatures? And we'll just blow up a creature? No, any
It blows
other
up
target.
any
It
target.
can dome
Any target.
somebody in the face,
It can
and
dome
then
someone,
then
yeah.
you blast act afterwards. There's also like, there's the original Mardu Zergo, which is indestructible on your own turn. So, and he's like a 7/2 or something like that. So like that deck always runs lots of Blasphemous Acts and stuff because it wipes the board of opposing creatures and they could swing in unopposed. So this is just another home for it. Like it just like those style of things. I think it's like also like a Zangief or something that's just like indestructible on your turn, has access to red, also loves Blasphemous Act, you know, like
Also,
those are the homes for it.
Also really good like Ansrag with like the lure effect where you can make your opponents have to block it. You can deal a ton of damage to it and then throw that damage to all your opponents. Also like a rage. There's some, what is the Jun Jurassic Park dinosaur that's like an enraged dinosaur that you want to keep damaging and then it like makes your opponent sack stuff, Indoraptor or something. So
yeah.
I think those
Bloodthirst
are
one?
Yeah. So I think those are also like good homes for it. Like there's a bunch of just cool little synergies for the card. So I like it. But anyway, those are our top Edge of Eternity cards for Commander. For the 99, you've heard our list, and really you saw a tiny taste of our list. If you actually see the spreadsheet we're working off of, there's like 50 cards on there or something. That's so wild. So there's way more cool cards. So let us know what you think is going to be good from Edge of Eternities. What are you hyped for? Let us know in the comments, and we'll be back next week to talk even more Commander. So until then, have a great week, everyone. And this is a crew signing out.